In the 1700s, a man condemned to death for murder became France's wealthiest man in just 6 years, then collapsed the entire country's economy and got the word bank effectively banned for a century. Born to Scottish bankers in Edinburgh on April 21, 1671, his destiny was written in blood and gold from the very beginning. By 1694 he killed Edward Wilson in a duel over a woman, facing execution before fleeing to exile on the European continent forever. He would eventually manipulate an entire nation's currency until rents near Rue Quincampoix increased 16-fold just as his world began to shatter around him completely. The death of Louis XIV in May 1715 left France bankrupt and created the perfect vacuum for a risky financial genius to enter the stage. Philippe II, Duke of Orleans, served as regent for the young Louis XV and approved Law's radical plan to save a crumbling empire from ruin. Law saw that gold was too slow to move the economy forward in an age where paper could potentially replace heavy metallic coins entirely for everyone. He established a new institution called the Banque Generale in May 1716 that accepted gold deposits and issued revolutionary paper notes instead. The French king's debt was so massive that the regent needed a savior who could turn national credit into something tangible and tradable for investors. In August 1717 Law founded the Compagnie d'Occident to exploit Louisiana and other French colonies across the Atlantic Ocean far away from Paris. He envisioned this company as a vessel for trade that would eventually absorb all French chartered colonial companies into one massive financial empire under his control. This was not just about fur and fish, but creating the largest monopoly in history to consolidate power for a Scottish gambler who knew no limits. By May 1719 the company was renamed Compagnie d'Indes and gained monopolies on East Indies trade with China and other distant lands. Law became Controller General of Finances in France during 1720 and was the richest man in Europe at his absolute peak moment. The word millionaire literally did not exist until this bubble created it, as people suddenly found themselves possessing unimaginable wealth overnight without working for years. His ambition was to merge the bank and company so he could control all money creation within France under one central authority system ever before seen. Noblemen disguised themselves as servants just to enter the trading crowds on Rue Quincampoix because they could not face the shame of being seen speculating. Share prices rose from 500 livres to an absurd high of 10,000 livres by December 1719 before everything went terribly wrong for everyone. A hunchbacked man reportedly rented out his back as a writing desk to speculators due to extreme congestion in the city center that day only lasts minutes. The air was thick with madness as stocks rose approximately 1,900% to 2,000% before the bubble burst without warning signs. Rents near Rue Quincampoix increased 16-fold simultaneously with the stock boom while people forgot that the company's primary purpose was trade with Louisiana and America. Law had invented an early experiment in fiat money anticipating concepts accepted centuries later, yet it failed due to excessive issuance without adequate safeguards for anyone. The world saw a man with no formal academic training learning through gambling mathematics and observing the Dutch system better than any professional economist could hope today. At its peak, Law was arguably the most powerful man in Europe or even the world, holding the fate of millions in his hands alone every day. The Mississippi name stuck despite the focus being heavily on French public debt rather than actual colonial exploitation in Louisiana or anywhere else outside France. People were so greedy they bought shares expecting returns that would never materialize because the company had no real revenue streams to support such valuations ever again. The word bank became a dirty word in France for nearly 100 years after this collapse, contributing significantly to later fiscal crises across the entire nation. In February 1720 the company acquired John Law's bank, becoming France's first central bank under one entity before everything started falling apart simultaneously. Law was wrong to think he could print money faster than it created value without consequences that would destroy the economy of France completely and forevermore. The Mississippi bubble collapsed in late 1720, leading to Law's flight from France, leaving behind a nation of ruined families and broken dreams everywhere. The company was placed under government receivership in April 1721 and emerged as the French Indies Company in 1723, focusing on overseas operations only. John Law died on March 21, 1729 in Venice, impoverished after his rise to power and subsequent fall had changed the financial world forever. From murderer to controller general of finances and back again within 6 years, this story remains the most extreme example of financial mania in history books today. Subscribe for more financial history stories.